Howdy everybody, Fidgetum here. In this video there will be no picking. This is the aftermath of the Schlage Primus. I'm going to show you how to put these back together, hopefully without damaging anything. Now this is a lot easier if you have the key, because the key will hold the finger pins in place. If you don't, you have to hold them in with your finger, so that's going to be a pain in the ass, but I have the key, so I'm going to use it. Start by these tiny springs, which are very, very small and very easy to lose. Go in here. There we go. And you're going to want to slide in key just a little bit, just enough to hold the end of that pin in place. You gotta be very careful with these springs, they're very small, very, very small. Tip them in, and it disappeared. There we go. It's almost easier with my fingers because the pinning tweezers are designed for standard size springs and pins, and those springs are not standard size. But anyway, just pop them in one at a time. All right. There we go. Now you're just going to want to leave the key in. You're going to leave the sidebar to the end because it has to be held in place. Alright, now this just gets reassembled like a normal lock. That'll do. If you've never put a lock back together before, this is how. Put your follower in the back. I like to align it so that that vertical channel, if you have one of those, is in line with the hole, so I can use see if I can use it to get them in the correct orientation, get the components. There we go. Move the follower around until it falls into place. Press down with your tweezers and then slide the follower forward, and then the follower will hold the pin in place. And then just repeat. If you didn't see me pick this lock for some weird reason, should be a link to it somewhere. Maybe. Or not. Depends on if I feel like putting the links in. I get lazy with that. I know I should, but it's so much easier not to. And I have such a hard time getting around to making videos these days anyway, so yeah, anyway, whatever. And I still haven't made a logo for my channel yet, a proper one, which I want to do. I need to get around to doing that. Alright, hoping to get this done quickly, because when I'm done with this, I'm going to make dinner. Dinner. Mashed potatoes. Alright, there you go. Now you're going to want to rotate this so that this channel is no longer in line with the pins, because if you have it in line with the pins as you're pushing it back in and you don't have your shim in the right place, or you don't use a shim, this gap is longer than this part of here sticks out. So there's a little void here that they'll fall into and you'll brick your lock. Or, well, you might end up damaging a spring or have to dump everything and start over. It's, regardless of what happens, it's going to be unpleasant. So you're going to want to rotate this such that it is perpendicular to these pins. All right. Now we go back to here. Again, if you've got the key, make sure that you're putting the pins in such that the key still works. If you don't have a key, then you can actually rearrange them however you like. Although I usually put them back together the way I found them, just because, I don't know, I like doing it that way. But again, double check, make sure all your pins line up, are flush with the top of your core with the key insert. Then you're going to need to take your sidebar. You're going to start by taking the sidebar springs. You'll lay this not quite 90 degrees, just tilted slightly so that the top pins don't fall out. And we're going to take these springs and you're going to slot them in right at the ends where they can go in. So one goes right there and one goes on the other side over here. There we go. Sometimes it's easier than other times. Stick in your sidebar. Now if you don't have the key, your sidebar is not going to go into the core all the way, which means you have to, because you'll notice there's still a slot for the sidebar all the way on the edge, so you have to put it in vertically, which you want to avoid. In that case, you're going to need to use a shim. Here though, we're good, so we're just going to slide that in. All right, we're just going to, key should still work nicely. Push your fingers against the core as you're pulling the key out so you don't accidentally rip out the core. And then you can screw it back together. Put your tailpiece back on. And your little screw back there. Sometimes there'll be two screws. On newer locks, there's usually only one. But you screw that back together and you're done. Ta-da! If you don't have to gut your complicated locks like this, generally it's the best idea not to, because if you've got complicated sidebar mechanisms and other similar things, tends to be a lot of small springs and small parts that like to disappear on you. But so if you can avoid gutting a lock, usually you want to. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Bye-bye.